Good morning, super coaches. It is SDS Supercoach here, back here for another Throwdown Thursday. And joining me as always, Damo. How are we doing, Damo?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm a little angry at a team selection and buy planning and all that, but can't change the past now.
Of course, we've got plenty to get through. As always, we'll give our round 13 summary. We'll give our who's on the hot seat for this week. We'll talk rookies. We'll talk training philosophies, what you should do in certain positions for your team for the run home. We've got a new series that I completely forgot to tell Damo about just before we press live, but that's all right. I think we've got a rough gauge on what we're going to talk about. Tom McCarthy will he be making his debut for the Eagles? Got some mid-price madness to chat about, and we got some B, C, and C options to discuss. How are we feeling how did we feel last week? What did we get up to in SuperCoach in your round? Anything noteworthy to talk about?
Well, I only had my buy planning, I had planned for the buys. I was going to have 18 at least every single week, and round 13 was supposed to be the easy one. I don't know how round 13 turned out to be my hardest buy week, but it did.
But it
Bailey Smith are laid out. Matt Roberts didn't play. Campbell Gray dropped and now dead.
Yep.
I was going to have 19, 20, maybe 21, but I ended up with less than 18 players for last round. I scored well based on the number of players I had, but it wasn't a great score in the scheme of things.
Yeah. What'd you end up scoring?
I'd rather not say.
Okay, fair enough. I'm on the other end of being very proud of how my players went this week. I've never been so proud of quite the fantasy team that I had this week. So we scored 2026, maybe a sign that next year's my year. You never know, but not to rule out this season. I've been very happy with how I've gone. We had 19, but basically 18 players because my 19th was Bo Allen, who popped on for the last 3 minutes of the game and did Jack. So, yeah, and he is going to be a 99K rookie coming very soon. And Andrew McCoulter did say that I've mishandled Bo Allen, so don't think he'll be sub, but either waffle or AFL full game, we'll have to see. But yeah, as I said, super proud of the boys. I think all of my premiums all of my premiums just put in a respectable score, and I'm very proud and happy of them. Vice captain Max Holmes, which was a bit of a rogue one, but when I did say Bailey Smith was going to be out, Gold Coast don't tag, the disposals are going to be going to Max Holmes, and very happy with how he went this week. So, yes, and we scored 2026. Season rank now back up to 1,393. So I think now that we're getting a bit of the cavalry back, Horn Francis, McRae this week, which really helps. And the fact I've only lost 600 spots while holding on to them leads me to believe that hopefully we can have a strong run home for the season. So I should have 20 premiums available this week in best 18. So this is easily my best buy round. So hopefully the boys put in another good shift. I'm actually in the position, unless we get some curveballs in live teams, that I'm actually looping some rookies this week in a buy round, which is just unheard of. So I think I've only got 3 or 4 players missing on the buy this week. So no excuses, Stephen. Got to put in a good shift this week. So got plenty to go through. Make sure you like the stream, comment in the live chat. We'll answer any of your questions, and we are happy to help. The Greek Raven, thank you for jumping on. Hey, guys, how you going? Hope you're doing well, mate. What a disaster week. 18.06 with 17 before the round, and I had 20. Yeah, no worries. Roberts out. No worries. Baslenka out. And yeah, no worries. Gray. Yeah, we sort of talked about that, and
That's pretty much what happened to me, mate. It's you're not alone.
No one's ever alone, and a bit of a frustrating week. It's starting to turn into a trend that the easiest buy round we look at when there's two teams on a buy round turns out to be one of the hardest buy rounds. But do you like the buy round setup of it going for 5 weeks, but there's less teams on each one?
I like what Jonathan Brown brought up on the couch on Monday night. I reckon like in middle of the season, so round 12 and 13, round 12, 10 teams play it out, and then round 8 is when and then round 13 you do the northern round.
The opening round, but for northern teams.
Yeah.
I like that idea. It was like that back in the day, wasn't it? The split round.
Yeah, they used to do it, but the split round used to be around round 18, 19, and it was as well as the buys.
Yeah, that's a bit weird. Yeah, so I don't mind that, or I just like the usual idea of a week off for everyone. And I tell you what, that would be nice.
The week off is weird though, because like the AFL will want to fill the space with something.
Yeah, of course. That's why
there's nothing on.
You could do. I don't even know what you do. Like mid-season draft, maybe state of origin.
Do you support a mid-season trade period?
No. I think it brings a massive disadvantage for the interstate teams.
Do you support teams being able to trade their mid-season pick?
Yeah, cool, but
so like for example, let's say let's say West Coast had pick 1, Collingwood had 2 picks in the mid-season draft as well, but they were pick 8 and 19 or whatever they were. What if West Coast wanted 2 picks and had the 2 list spots? Why don't they trade pick 1 for pick 8 and 19 and use 2 picks? Like, I mean, if West Coast had 2 spots, they would just pick 2 players. But
yeah,
I mean, like, yeah, I'm also of the opinion that the AFL should let every team make a selection in the mid-season draft, regardless of list spot. But the teams that don't have a list spot or have one only created for the purpose can only pick up 6-month contract players, 6-month nominated players.
Yeah, like I think that'd be fine. Yeah, I think that's cool. Like there might be one less spot for a club, but they're really interested in 2 players, and they might just want 2 picks for it. So yeah, I think that's cool. I think I'd be fine with that, but I just don't think there'd be too much noteworthy news about it. Because I think usually in mid-season drafts, like what are we saying, about 2 or 3 are mildly successful every year?
I think the first couple of mid-season drafts were like really, really successful. There's not a lot coming out now that, you know, has any noteworthy names.
Yeah. I think something like that would work. The Greek Raven this week, Zorko out for Wanganeen Miller. I have too many round 16 premiums, and then Lindsay and Nevitt for Butters and Johnson. What do we think about Zorko? He's had a lean period ever since his fiery start. Do we think that he's still worth holding, Damo?
I don't mind people jumping off a failing premium from that round 16 buy, as long as it's got reason behind it. He says that he has too many round 16 primos, so he's trying to find balance, which is good.
And that's probably
I think and Wanganeen Malera's price is going like this, Zorko's price is going like this. So I've got no issue with people trading out Zorko in that respect. But if people are well set up for the buys and you're just trading out Zorko for the sake of trading out Zorko, I reckon his role might change slightly and has changed slightly with Fletcher and Answorth and all that sort of catching a bit of fire. But for now, I would hold him if there's no reason to, but I don't mind what Greek Raven's doing here with his trades.
Well, because I'm hearing a lot about people trading out Lockie Neal as well. I think Brisbane have one of the hardest run homes for...
And Zach Merritt.
Zach Merritt, yeah. That's actually probably one on the run sheet I didn't add, because I think this is a bit of a talking point. What's going on with Zach Merritt? Well, we know what's going on. It's this rubbish defensive role, and we also see him sometimes in the half forward line. The CBAs have been way down the past couple of weeks. I would assume that we see him back in the midfield before the season's done, because it just isn't really working. Is this a trade out? This is definitely a guy that you don't jump on at this point if you don't have him. But is this a trade out?
I've got no issues with people trading out Zach Merritt. He comes up against potentially 6 or 7 tags on the run home. So he's got Geelong this week, and that's Ocean Mullen. Then he's got Fremantle, who can run with players using Corey Wagner or Bailey Banfield or Matt Johnson or someone along those lines. Gold Coast don't tag. Richmond don't tag. The Giants have Toby Bedford. The Bulldogs are the hardest team for midfielders to score against. They don't generally have a tagger, but they're just a hard matchup. Sydney have James Jordan. Then he has Geelong again with Ocean Mullen. Then he has St Kilda with Marcus Windhager. And then he has Carlton, who's just shut him down using Alex Chincotta.
Yeah, it's not a pretty run home. He can usually fight through the tags, usually. So I don't think there's ceiling scores coming in this way. But if he moves back in the midfield, I still reckon he can average like 108 type thing. But it's more the fact that this role, whilst getting tagged in a bad role, is really bad. So it's something to think about for owners. I guess the mild red flag in preseason was Brad Scott was looking to potentially use him off halfback or whatever the case may be. But I tell you, the guy that really gets the elevation in role, because I think the taggers will still go to Merritt regardless, it's Jai Caldwell. And at 440K, if he's the number one disposal getter for Essendon, that's huge. That's huge. And he might unfortunately find himself in a bit of form where maybe he starts getting the tag in the midfield.
I don't think it's going to be Caldwell that cops the tag. They've got Parrish that's just come back and picked up 31. Durham is usually pretty damaging with his disposal, and Nick Martin is there as well. So I think Caldwell's well back in the queue to be tagged. I just think the way that Caldwell plays and the way that they use him means that a tag is going to be useless on a guy like Caldwell.
Yep. Do you think he can still bounce back, Merritt? Do you reckon he can still get back into that midfield role?
He's usually pretty good post-buy, but I do not like that run with the taggers.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, sorry. Back to this question, Greg Raven. I
like those trades, mate. I really do. If it was Zorko out for the sake of it, then I'd probably say no. But you're doing it for balance, and you're also bringing in Butters as well, so it works all round for me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No, I think that's fine. We've always got to have a reason as to why we're trading out X player. So that's fair. You gave us a reasoning. I think the main priority is as long as you can finish your team, that's the key. And Lindsay and Never can go. So Butters and Johnson, beautiful. James, hope you're going well, mate. The thing that worries me about with Kirch is when Archer comes back, it's going to have to be 8 defenders with Core, Pink, Comben, McDonald, Archer, Daniel, Kirch, Hardiman. I swear Riley Hardiman's moved more to a wing.
Hardiman's traditionally a half-back, actually, I think, but I'm not sure where they're using him at the moment. I don't mind the McKercher trade-in, but I'm also a little bit apprehensive about it as well, because he's a guy that's going to get moved around. I think. I don't think this role is going to continue. He's going to stick around long term. The next month or so, people might be happy, but I think once his price tops out, people might be looking to move him on for someone a little more safe.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good cash play. I quite actually like the McKercher trade-in, and I think there's coaches out there that might be struggling to finish their team, and if that means bringing in a Colby McKercher, I think that's perfectly fine. And also, some people are looking to use him as a 24th, which I also think is pretty cool. You know, if under 400K for what he's capable of is, I do really like. So, yeah, I think Combin's out for the next 2 to 3. Luke McDonald keeps getting games for whatever reason. Core Pink, yep. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I like the McKercher pickup. I had an idea, but I was like $2,000 short of doing it. So I just don't think I'm getting McKercher, but I'm not against the pick per se. What do you think he can? If he plays this role rest of the year, what can he average? Because I'm thinking 100.
90.
90? Okay. Okay.
I mean, McKercher's only scored 4 tons in his last 18 games, and they've come up against Richmond and West Coast for each time. So I don't know. I don't see him getting the same freedom against a top 8 team.
Yeah, fair. Hardiman played lockdown on the weekend. Yeah, that's fair. For some reason, I thought he was playing wing. So I would think either Colby or Hardiman play on a wing or half forward. The wing half forward role wasn't working with McKercher. That's the only thing, though. He wasn't really doing anything. They were trying to turn him into Errol Goulden, which is a fair enough idea because Goulden's probably the best winger in the game. But I just don't, that's probably not quite his style just yet. I think that's their eventual plan, but I don't know. I think he'll stay halfback. I think they need that second distributor with Daniel, because I think they're two different type of just distributors. McKercher and Daniel. Daniel's elite at the short kicks, and then you got McKercher who has that long booming left boot. So yeah, Greg Raven. I have Zorko, Holmes, Whitfield, Baslenka, Merritt, and Dunkley. I was thinking trade Merritt, but after his bye, most defenders coming back soon. Zorko it is. Yeah, that's true. They're getting some soldiers back in defence, Essendon. Zach Reid would probably be back after his bye. Yeah, I would say. Would you say Zorko or Merritt is more of a trade?
If I had the luxury, I'd probably both, but out of the two, I'd probably prefer Merritt.
Yeah,
but,
I think I'd. Yeah.
I mean, Zorko is going to get some troops back as well, so Merritt and Zorko are both in danger of a role change once both of those teams are at full strength. So yeah, I think one or the other can't go wrong, really.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Zorko's going to kill you post bye. Spud Guns, how we going, mate? Hope you're doing well. Problem with Colby is he's a dead pick anywhere else on the ground. There's 11 rounds for Clarkin to move him around. Exactly, he's moved the magnets around a fair bit. I'm leaning more towards waiting a week or two and picking up JHF or Darcy for 40K, for less than 40K. So, well, I think they're much safer picks than McKercher. I think people need to go down the McKercher route to finish their team. There just might be certain people's positions. So, if you're not in the position to quickly finalise your team, then I think it's fine to skip McKercher because, yeah, there are red flags to the pick. Would you recommend Horny One and Darcy as picks in a couple of weeks?
I do like the look of Sam Darcy. I would need to see what they do with Horn Francis when he returns.
Yeah, because they've just moved Bergman into the midfield as well.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't move him out, right? Who would they? I guess
knows?
Rosie's out of there now.
Who knows?
Yeah, cheers.
Who knows?
I
struggle to get a read on Port, mate. I've struggled to get a read on Port. I don't know if they're a team in transition or a team trying to contend or a team going full pelt at a rebuild. I don't think they've worked it out yet. I don't think anyone's really worked it out yet. So yeah, I like, who knows? It's a cop out answer, but like, honestly, I've got no idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also a thing with Port Adelaide is we talked about it off air as well. They've got two huge matchups over the next 2 weeks on whether they make finals. A huge win against the Giants. Can they put themselves back in the finals hunt if they beat Melbourne this week and Sydney? Yeah. Yeah, they probably do. And that probably determines their season, really, the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
So they need Horny, Butters, Rosie to be fully firing. Kerry Knox, hope you're doing well. Anyone else concerned that Baz's injury is worse than is being reported? Bit worried they might rest until after his bye. It's Geelong.
I think Geelong, a high profile guy like Bailey, I think they'll want him to be as transparent about him as possible. So I think his injury is just a tight string, but I wouldn't put it past Geelong to be hiding something.
Can I be devil's advocate? No, what's the saying? Can I be Mr. Evil for a second?
Go on.
He's like 99% owned by the top 1%. I would not be shattered if he was back after his bye.
Because everyone would be in the same boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then do you want to trade Bailey Smith with his run after his bye?
There would be people that wanted that do it.
Do you really want to try? Don't they play Richmond twice after his bye and then Essendon as well? Like,
let's have a look at Geelong's run.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
They've got Essendon this week, then Brisbane, then Richmond, then the Giants, then St Kilda, then North, then Port, then Essendon, then Sydney, then Richmond.
It's an unbelievable run. And I know it benefit Max Holmes as well. So I'm like, you know what, Baz? I'm perfectly fine. In my position, I'm perfectly fine if you're back after your bye. So, I mean, because it might hurt some coaches more than others. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I know I'm being a dickhead, but I'm being a dickhead, I know, but I just wouldn't be opposed to it.
Okay.
Fair enough. Yes, I am concerned that he could be back after his bye. Yeah, Spud Guns. Mills off a bye next week also, exactly. Far better long-term than McKercher should be for a D6 or flex. Yeah, and Mills is like 40K cheaper. Are you grabbing Mills next week?
I am. I've got an avenue to do it in one trade, but the player that I have to move to get him has been doing 80s and 90s, and I'm like, would I prefer to hold on to that and try and get Mills another way? So I'm trying to work that out, but I mean, I can get him one way or another. I just want to hold the guy doing 80s and 90s on my bench, you know?
Yeah, because it's been kind of documented a bit from my end. I basically got to choose between Mills and getting a 24th or getting Bont next week. So I think Mills is good. Do you reckon he eventually moves into the midfield? I would assume so, because that's where they're been training him the entire preseason.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he'll go into the midfield.
Who do you reckon that affects? To me, it seems like Chad Warner. He's already dropped in his CBAs.
Or Heaney.
Maybe Heaney more forward.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
so
I think Mills
Warner or Heaney.
Has Sydney got a good run post bye with some decent enough matchups in there. Yeah. Yeah.
They only face 2 teams currently in the top 8
for the rest of the year.
Yep.
That's pretty good. That's plenty of teams giving up.
Sorry, 3 teams.
Would he be a bit of a concern though, given his injury history, that he's your 23rd?
Well, you're only going to score off 22 anyway, so even if he does get injured, it doesn't really matter, does it?
No, and yeah, that's good. Well, that gets you thinking as well. Is it really that important getting a 24th?
Maybe not.
Because if you've got a score dropping off each week, I mean, it would be nice, but is it essential? Maybe. I'm not sure. Need some more thinking music. Something to think about. Hey, guys, I got Rosie and Miller up for Ashcroft and Roberts. So I assume that's Levi Ashcroft. I think they're good moves.
Yeah, I like it.
I think,
and he says he also got McCarthy from West Coast,
who should be making his debut this week.
Oh yeah, he's in my team. I'm pretty sure he's going to play and have a massive role. I can see Tom McCarthy being like last year's Lawson Humphreys.
Yeah, like everyone's 24th. Do you reckon he plays halfback in that marriage role?
Oh yeah, and I think he takes kickouts. Okay. I think he takes kickouts.
So turns Tyrell Dewar a bit dodgy as an option. Okay. I saw a report that he was 22, but then I was seeing something else saying he's 24. How old is he? I thought he was 22.
I think he's 22. But I can tell you exactly.
Spud Guns, let us know.
So on West Coast website, he's 24.
Oh, he's 24. Okay, he's older than I thought.
He's mature age. Mature age.
Yeah. And maybe, unlike Ryan Marich, he can actually defend.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Nah, yeah, so I think he's out.
They've done him dirty with the picture on the West Coast website, though. He's got sand in his hair.
I don't know. Maybe he's enjoying the beach up there.
He's got sand in his hair.
He's got sand in his hair?
Yeah.
What? The West Coast website or the AFL website?
On the West Coast website.
On the West Coast website?
He's got sand in his hair.
Oh, he does.
They've done him so dirty.
Well, that's on him a bit. That's on him a bit.
They could have said something to him.
Are you sure it's not dandruff?
They could have said something to him.
Maybe just we'll send you back into the toilet, give it a little brush. Bloody hell, I can't get anything right currently up there. Oh dear, yeah, just on the left side. The poor guy went number 1 in the draft, and he's got sand in his hair. G Bags, hey guys, hope you're doing well, mate. Thoughts on which trade I should prioritize this week? Tossing up between moving Lindsay to McKercher or moving Elijah Hewitt to Cooper Lord. Cooper Lord making an appearance.
Lindsay to McKercher.
What's Cooper Lord priced at?
$315.
Yes. McKercher. Lindsay to McKercher. And Hewitt's break even's lower as well, so he's going to be making a bit of money late. So yeah, I'd be grabbing McKercher. James, or if Sheasel moves into the midfield, Colby could play Sheasel's old role. Could do. Who was it there? They had their mid-season pick as well, North. It was a little small forward, wasn't it?
Zach Banch. Yeah, he was good on the weekend.
Okay, interesting. They still haven't used their number one pick from last year or their mid-season draft last year, Georgie Payne.
He's been close. He's been really close for a few weeks. But yeah, they only took a squad of 24, 25 over to Perth.
Oh, okay. Okay. He might make an appearance late. Rookie coach, hope you're doing well, mate. Yeah, sick. My first message was filtered. Have to grab one, Kirch or Doc. So maybe don't swear in your message next time. No. What do you think of Doc? Because I'm not sold.
If I'm choosing between the two, I'd prefer McKercher because Doc.
It's one bad game being dropped.
Yeah, he had a stint in the VFL after a bad few weeks. After Carlton had a bad few weeks, I'm just worried that he's going to be out again if something goes awry at Carlton again. So, and also Dockett is mid only. So I think I prefer McKercher just for the DPP, if nothing else.
Yeah, for the flexibility. Yeah. What's our Docky priced at? Is he even
403 with a break even of 13, 3-round average of 88.3, but that's a bit skewed because he had a few weeks off. So 118 and 107 since returning.
Yeah, I'm not. I love Sam Doherty as a player and a person. I just don't think I'm just not a fan at all. I'd grab McKercher. Spud Guns 24 been taking kickouts in the waffles, so you're probably right, Damo.
I like being right.
I know you do. So do I. That's why live stream's so fun. D-Bags. Another option. So this was back up to Lindsay McKercher or Hewitt to Lord.
Okay,
Another option could be to move Lindsay to Mills next week and move Sheasel into the midfield or flex spot.
The only issue with Lindsay is his break even is up above 100.
Yep.
And plays a team that doesn't generally give up points to wingers.
Yeah. I think Porter pretty restrictive there, 102 break even. I'd just be doing Lindsay to McKercher this week and reassess next week and worry about Callum Mills later.
Yep.
And Hewitt to Callum Mills might be on the cards if he puts in a stinker this week. The Great Raven, I think I'm going to do it. What the fuck? No pain, no gain. So Zorko, Merritt, and Lindsay out for Wangane, Miller, Butters, and McKercher. Okay.
I love those moves.
I love those moves as well.
Turning 2 and a rookie into 3.
It's pretty juicy, isn't it?
It's good. I like it.
Yeah, I like it as well. Leaving me with 120k too.
Yeah, I love that. Great. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Spud Guns. Yeah, Hewitt's really becoming a very nice little cash cow towards the end. Break even.
I'm so sad that I traded him.
How long ago did you trade him?
Really early.
Yeah, I think
it was when he was injured and just was not coming back. So it would have been around. To be honest, I probably traded him out in about round 5, and then round 6 he returns. So
yeah, I think it was the exact same.
Yeah,
he was 149k, and that my cash gen's been really good this year, but that is one that's gone missing. And then also like trading out Power Pepper round 1. So next year,
I-
be careful with trading.
I can't remember who I traded Hewitt to either.
I think, yeah. I'll be able to say.
I'm too scared to look at my trade history.
No, the trade history is cool, man. So I try. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So
I traded Hewis to Riley Bice.
yeah. So I did Camporeale, Hewitt, and Nevitt in round 4 to get in Bice, Moraes, and Marich. So I actually don't hate that.
I traded Hewitt to Riley Bice and Sardis to Clay Hall.
Clay Hall was the right move at the time, though.
At the time, yes.
At the time, of course.
He's never coming back now, though.
Yeah. No, I just. Is it just because he just can't play in any other position?
He is an inside mid and an inside mid only, correct?
Yeah, so that's probably hurt him.
It's the Will Brody problem.
It is, and he's probably getting delisted.
Nah, Will Brody's contracted for another 2 years.
That's so bad, man.
So they've been playing him at half forward in the waffle to see if he can do anything with the ball, like to impact scoreboard or anything.
Clearly, that hasn't been working.
He's not been doing too badly, but who's he pushing out?
Well, you got an elite forward line. No one.
I'd like to see Will Brody at half back.
Yeah, I think that's the only way he survives. Rookie.
Sorry.
Yeah. And I'll answer rookie coach first. Thanks, lads. I said gun to your head in the yeah, YouTube wouldn't have liked that.
No.
I had someone on Twitter accidentally report my Twitter page, and I'll be fuming if I get banned.
I remember Lekdog's Twitter got suspended because instead of finding the GIF of Liam Neeson on the phone, he just typed out, "I will find you and I will kill you," and and luckily he got his account back after like 24 hours. But he was like, she said, he was like, I should have just looked for the GIF.
Should have taken a few more seconds to actually do it, actually find it. We'll happily take Will Brody across town if you guys don't want him, Lamau. Yeah.
I like Will Brody, but you guys also want Neil Erasmus, Spud Guns. And I don't know how that's going to work.
So, yeah, Will Brody, Neil Erasmus for a future second.
I don't know. To be completely honest, I don't know what Neil Erasmus's perceived worth is.
It's got to be. It's been a few years
because he was a top 10 pick. He's now getting opportunity and showing what he can do once given opportunity.
Yeah.
Has he increased in value? Probably not. But is he showing why he was a first round pick? I think he's believing. I think he's starting to.
Yeah. Yeah, and Spud Gun said we'll take both. We'd be helping you out by freeing up 2 list spots.
To be honest, it'll be Neil Erasmus out and Toby 1 in, so it'll be the same problem. Just a different player. Yeah, I think Neil Erasmus is probably gone in the end of the year, but Freo seemed pretty confident in holding on to him. For what reason, I've got no idea.
Free up the list spots for Cozzy Pickett.
Mate, that's not happening. He's signed until 2034.
I know. We'll even give you Dom Sheed.
I'd rather keep the list spot free, to be honest.
What if you make a grand final and he's the super sub and he just comes on and does that shit again?
He'll break his back in the warm out, in the warm up.
Yeah, just stick him on the bench.
Mate.
He just doesn't warm up.
No. I I'm interested to see if a cross down deal goes ahead. I'm so interested to see what happens with that.
That'd be very interesting. When was the last time a trade like that was done between the WA team?
Like 1997.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, back when Freo was still was still babies in the competition.
No, okay, fair enough. That's fair enough. Let's head into a bit more of the run sheet, methinks. So yeah, we've talked. So I guess we haven't talked too much about Zach Johnson. Just really get him in. He's the downgrade. Do we see him being in the side long term?
The good news about Zach Johnson is he should get to about 200K before the Bombers buy. As that's as long as he keeps scoring in that 60 to 80 range. So I don't mind bringing him in, even if it's just as a quick cash grab. But in my opinion, Johnson and Angus Clark have been the two that have shown the most since coming into the side out of nowhere, almost. So it wouldn't surprise me if Johnson sticks around for a little bit longer than we think. But what worries me is you look at the Bombers' injury list, and every player almost is 3 weeks away, which puts him in the frame for after the Bombers buy. They won't bring in 8 players at once, you wouldn't think. So I think he's probably a massive sub risk in the back half of the season, but I don't mind him as a trade-in option at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Do you reckon Erasmus is worth a third rounder?
Freo will want more than a third rounder.
Do you reckon at end of second or mid second?
Freo, out of contract puts Freo out of bargaining power, but they will want more than a third rounder. I think ideally they would want a pick in the 20s.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of academy and father-son picks this year as well. So I think that gets pushed back a fair bit as well.
Yeah.
So I think, I think the futures, I think the second rounders are the new third rounders now, the way it's going now, just with the academy and all that stuff.
They would want a pick in the 20s, and they would aim for an early 20s, just so it doesn't get pushed out of that range.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I guess we can talk about the trading philosophy for round 14. I think the pretty obvious one is we probably, as we head into the third out of the 5 buy rounds, probably other than a downgrade rookie, we don't want to be bringing in premiums that have a buy coming up. So we don't want to bring in,
unless it fits your structure.
Could you get someone off the buy that fits your structure as well, though?
Yeah, you probably could, but if someone's value now and they have a buy in 2 weeks, but in 2 weeks they're also going to be out of your price range, I've got no issue with you bringing them in now as long as it fits.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. What about for coaches that, because I've been doing TikTok content this year, which has been a lot of fun. There are a lot of people out there that are telling me, all right, after this week, I've got 9 trades remaining with 3 upgrades to go. And so I've just sort of been saying to them, what are your trades this week? And it might be, doing I don't know, I'm doing Chad Warner, Zorko and some dead rookie 2, Johnson and 2 premiums. And I've been saying to them, well, after this week, if you've got 9 trades, 3 upgrades to do, I'd be grabbing McKercher this week, then Mills next week, just prioritizing to finish your team. And I know it might be a bit sad that you can't get Zach Butters, but do you implore coaches at this point in the year to you might have to skip a couple of guys to make sure your team is done?
it's all about balance, isn't it? Look, you got to look at your team and decide how many blue chip players have you got for the run home, and if you haven't got enough, then maybe you do need to chase a guy like a Butters or something now. But if you've got enough guys who's going to finish top of their position, then that's when you can go for the value guys like a Colby McKercher or even a guy like Sam Doherty, Miles Bergman, Ben Keys, even in that scenario as well. So it really depends, like what your team looks like. It's situational, but it's also about that balance as well. If you don't have enough blue chip guys in your team, you're going to fall further behind the pack, and anyway. So Butters is probably a must have if you don't have enough of those high end guys, but value should always be chased anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the main priority is finishing your team. So, like, I would say the nucleus 4 would be Cherry, Gorn, Bonds, Butters. And I don't think it's the end of the world if you're missing one of them. I would say I would say 3 is pretty good. I'd say, but if you've got one of those 4, that's probably a bit of a concern.
So yeah, if I'm looking at my team at the moment, I've got Cherry, Butters, and Bont, but no Gorn. But I do have Brayshaw, Smith. I do have Andy Brayshaw and Bailey Smith as well. And most people have Bailey Smith, but Andy Brayshaw kind of offsets what I don't have in Gorn in a way.
Yeah. So, like, I'm similar position. Oh, well, actually, after this week, I'll have 2 of the 4 without Bont and Cherry, but I think I'm planning to get Bont next week. So, yeah, without Cherry for the run home, when Cherry has like a good matchup every week besides round 24, it is a bit of a scary prospect. So, I think, yeah, if you're getting the second most expensive player in the game to start in your starting team at 560K, that is just an absolute steal. Port might not have the best run home, but they do. But it's Zach Butters, and at the end of the day, he has gone 108 out of his 9 games this season, and the one game being he was just tagged out of oblivion, out of nowhere by O'Shane Mullen with a 53 score, which is part of the reason why he's at the price right now. So I think, I think he's a very fair trade in at 560K, and he can be another vice captain option for the run home. Just a couple more questions. Greg Graven, I had Sheasel from the start, only to trade him when move him, only to bring him back in when the coach said that he will be play where he won the BNF. I need to trade him out, play again, playing SC very loose. Yeah. He's been a bit of a roller coaster this year. The role hasn't necessarily, sort of each week we've gone into the Sheasel pick thinking we just don't really know what position he's going to be playing. So do you reckon last week was a sign? Because I guess at halftime everyone was planning out to trade him out. But now in that role in the midfield, do you reckon that's sort of, I think we'll be seeing
I can't judge any player after they play West Coast or North.
Yeah.
Can
you judge a role though?
With all due respect to those teams, late in games they do get tired because they're very young. I mean, that you can tell they're going to be good teams because they've got some good players running around, but just late they get very tired and they let some others off the hook. Role is important. I did like his role in that second half, but yeah, I struggle to judge off those games.
Yeah, fair. And who have North got again this week? I forgot it was
Freo in Perth.
Team, sorry. So I think we get a bit more of a gauge. How's the crowd going to look for that game, by the way? Because it's a North home game, so I assume a lot of the parties will be going.
Simon Garlick was on radio,
yeah,
and was saying that they believe there's going to be about 30 to 35K. So it means the stadium's going to look about half full.
Yeah, fair.
But the thing is, the Dockers aren't losing money. It's purely North Melbourne that will lose money. So it's not any of the Dockers or West Coast concern.
Well, they got paid buckets to do it. So, and now the Western Australian clubs love North Melbourne for doing it. So, it'll pay off. What was it? A 2-year contract or 3-year contract?
3.
And is it a thing of like next year you'll play North in Bunbury and then West Coast will play them at Optus?
I'm assuming so, but West Coast but I know West Coast have been talking about trying to make Bunbury a second home.
Oh, so like playing a game or two there?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a big enough stadium. What is it? 15,000 people can fit in it. Like, that's pretty good.
15,000 when they put the grandstands in. Yeah.
That's pretty good. And they play a lot of AFLW games there as well, I believe.
They haven't played one yet.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought it was a staple. That's all right. That's okay. Spud Guns, Luke Jackson's going to be on the top 5 nucleus coming into the season, already going at 119. Yeah, he's been like the most underrated pick of all time this season.
It depends what they do with Sean Darcy, but I mean,
they're limiting his ruck, aren't they?
Yeah, mate, I think Sean Darcy's gone at the end of the season.
Any way to keep Dogger?
Yes, but well, I think that got put to rest with Pickett's contract today. Because that was going to be the swap, and there was no other way to do it. Yeah, I'm interested to see when Sean Darcy gains a bit more fitness. But for now, yeah, Luke Jackson is playing midfield and is playing midfield and ruck. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty certain that. Well, I think Darcy looks a lot fitter than what he did in previous years. It's just condition-wise.
Yeah, I think.
Remember that photo of him in Qatar? Was it?
Yeah, looking slim as all hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he still looks that
way. I think. Yeah, I think he's gone at the end of the year. I think they've decided that they can't keep him.
Yeah, and where do you reckon he would end up? Probably back in Victoria, of course, but
Geelong.
Probably Geelong, yeah. Yeah.
Geelong's been huge on him.
Future third.
It depends how much. It depends, mate. Everyone's talking about him being on $1 million a year, but I can tell you right now, he's actually on a lot less than people think. He's on a lot less than people think.
Yeah, the length of the contract's asked, though.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Yeah, Dog has been unreal. So I'm pretty sure Spud Guns has him in his team. So he's been a killer. And I think Freo are now going to start planning on just playing him in the ruck every week. And he's going to be pretty expensive next year.
They will bring Darcy in for games against brute rucks. Like they'll probably keep him in for Cherry this week.
Yeah.
But next year they will have a different plan.
So do you reckon it'll be Dogger and then Liam Reedy is the backup?
Yeah, it'll be Jackson and Voss. So Voss is the backup in the team. And then Reedy if either of them miss.
Yeah, fair enough. Christian, hope you're doing well, mate. What do you think about Erling Haaland? Yeah, he's a good player. I like him. I've got a mate that looks very much like Erling Haaland, so I always give him that joke. But absolute superstar. Wasn't fully firing last season, but a lot of injuries happened. So hopefully he's a little bit cheaper in FPL during the off-season of SuperCoach. Greg, you don't follow football at all, do you? No. Do you know which team he plays for?
The red one.
You can check my name and tell me what you think, Mr. Spud. Mr. Spud's picker.
Just moving on. Okay.
That's so far off. It's not even funny. Yeah, I'll check. Yeah, I'll keep that noted. I'll check your team when we're finished the stream here. Spuds Guns, 92% CBAs for Dogger last game with only 50% RC. Ruck contest, yeah. Is that that's what it means? Yeah,
I'm assuming.
Yeah. So I think you and Spud Guns are on the same page. I think they're just prioritizing Jackson now, make sure he's happy. He's actually a good captain shout this week. Went 178 on Cherry last year and Cherry 108.
Yeah, but to be honest, Cherry didn't go on his run until like midway through last year. So I don't know what we can read into last year's matchup.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth having a crack at.
You can put the VC on Jackson for sure.
I'm putting mine on Brayshaw.
Mm.
Because North don't tag.
Yeah, I'm tossing up. I mean, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. But he is a good shout. We've got a couple more things to discuss here on the run sheet here.
I was looking at the run sheet. Hot seat, VCC, and then your little segment.
We'll get into our little segment right now, I reckon, Damo. So I think there was a little bit of controversy when I brought up the idea. So I've got 5 players named here. So, but it's basically a grading of how we've rated starting picks this year and how it's all turned out. I've got 5 names and I haven't told Damo about them. So I guess he'll have to think on the fly a bit. So I've got 1 in each position and then a rookie that we can discuss. And just a reminder, so we're going to grade it between 1 to 5. 1 being a catastrophe, so just a disaster starting pick. 2 being a fail, but there is a couple of things that, sort of went our way with the pick. 3, I'll take it. It was fine. Wasn't amazing, but it was fine. 4, great success. Very good for the most part. And 5, unbelievable, like season-defining starting pick. So the first one I'm going to bring up is Jaden Short. How are we ranking this? Because there was a bit of midness about him, and then he got injured, and he's still injured.
He's still injured. I'm going to rate him a 2, a fail.
Yeah, and I'm putting him as a 2 as well. Part of the reason I think with this pick was because we just thought that with Dan Rioli going, we thought that he would start getting a lot more of the monopoly, but Richmond did lean a lot more towards the youngsters than I anticipated. And as we anticipated, 1 ton in 8 games, still out with a calf. I think I'll give it a 2. It is a fail. I think his saving grace was he actually didn't deliver any really bad scores, which meant he didn't drop in price and we had to trade him out at like 370K. He just sort of stuck around with what he was averaging. So, but he wasn't a keeper. So 2 sounds about right, Damo?
2's for me, yeah.
Yeah. It was a fail, wasn't a catastrophe. The next player I've got is Finn Callahan.
Three.
Yeah, I think it's a 3. But I'm tempted with the 4 as well. I think it's been a pretty good starting pick. Yeah, I think I'd give it a 3. It's fine. It was like, cool.
Yeah.
The fact he got injured was unlucky. Still, I think he might be back this week, actually, to my knowledge. But obviously, cut sick against the Pies, and then a couple of poor scores in between. Some people looked to trade him out, so he got as low as 416K. And then after that Saints game, he went on a run of 116, 116, 133, 104, 110, and started to look again like that M7, M6 sort of player. and then just sort of, got injured. And he made his money from his price tag. I think it's a 3. I'd almost say like 3.5, but I guess the injury did hurt.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
The next one is Tristan Cherry. I would say a 4.
4.
Maybe 4.5-ish.
I'm going 5.
You going 5?
Yeah. Well, I'm doing 5 for me personally. If I didn't start him, then I don't know how I would have got him in.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think the reason was 4.5 for me, just purely because of there was a window to get him 100K cheaper, but that was counted in by the fact that everyone was getting in Matt Flynn, and it made it a bit awkward because a lot of us did start with 2 primo rucks, and then Matt Flynn was cherry ripe to come back into a lot of people's teams. And then whilst Cherry was 550K, and the only way really to get Cherry back at a good price was, getting rid of Flynn a week early to grab Cherry. So that's why I give it 4.5. There was a window for people to get him, but it was counteracted by the fact of Matt Flynn coming back into the team. So I think this has been a good success and, a great success, I would say, starting Cherry, because non-owners couldn't even find a way to get him back in.
Yep, agreed.
Next one's Christian Petrarca. Started as a mid, 550K. And then after 6 weeks, got DPP into the forward line. Started the season pretty slow as a starting pick.
I think he's a 3.
Yeah, I was going to go 3.5, I would say. The DPP sort of saved the pick, but I mean,
I think you're cheating with these ratings, giving the halves.
Okay, fine. Cherry is a 4 for me. I think Callahan's a 3, and I'm giving Petrarca a 3 as well.
Okay.
Fine. Yeah. Right. No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. I think Petrarca's a 3. If you started him, like me, I was pretty flat with how he was going to start with, but built his way up, and DPP sort of saved him.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. And finally, probably a tough one to say now, but Angus Sheldrick. If you started him.
If you held him, it's a 5.
Yes.
But I don't know, but I'm going to go 4.
If you held him the whole time, I think it's a 4. Because it took him a very long time to start finally making money. But I think it's a 4 if you held the whole way.
So those sorts of cash cows
are annoying.
Test you for so long.
Yeah, and you see all the other cash cows that are flying.
Ideally, you play for the green dots, and when he's only an orange one, then
sub a lot.
Yeah.
Because that's what a lot of people pulled off with Sheldrick. He went 32 and got subbed out against the Hawks.
Yeah.
So if you held him the whole way, it was a 4. If you traded him out fairly enough early, probably a 2.
Yeah.
And there we go. I'll give Damo 5 more players next week and we'll discuss. So that was having a crack at a new segment. Let's talk about, before we go on the hot seat, there is one player we haven't we talked about a little bit, but not enough. Maybe Miles Bergman. Would you say he's a good target?
He probably is, but Horn Francis coming back scares me.
It does. What do they do to him? Would the midfield rotation be Drew, Butters, Horn Francis, Bergman be the main four?
I think they like Bergman in the middle, so I don't know how it's going to work. Maybe Horn Francis becomes more of a forward and he completely gets ruined. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I feel like I'm forgetting someone as well in that CBA mix.
Yeah.
I feel like there's definitely someone I'm forgetting because it feels like, because there already was 4. Who was it? Bergman's. Oh, Ollie Wines. Yeah, I was forgetting about Ollie Wines. Yeah, so maybe Horn Francis becomes more of a forward.
That would ruin him though. That would ruin him as a pick.
And ruin the fact that I held him this whole time. Yeah, that could happen. Could Wines move to a wing?
I think Bergman's more likely to go to a wing.
Yeah, maybe Berger moves more to a wing. Yeah, it'll be very telling this week. It would be very telling. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't see a private chat. We'll just quickly get on the hot seat. Who's on the hot seat for you this week?
Zach Merritt.
Yep, he's got a fire. That's fair enough. For me, it's Chad Warner on the bye. Don't go to Bali or anything. Just rest up your body and
just work on kicking straight and finding players when you make a disposal.
Yeah, stop being so angry. Stop giving away so many free kicks. And we'll finish off with some V, C, and C options. So I think I'm going Brayshaw and Nagorn. What are you doing?
So my VC is either going to be Brayshaw or Cherry. I can't decide. And then my C is going to be Butters.
Yeah, fair enough. That's fair. I think Bont's a good option tonight. I don't see. I think also Rowan Marshall and Tim English could be good shouts. Bailey Dale, a nice one as well. I don't think there's much in the Hawks, Crows, or Lions, Giants to have a crack at. I think Bailey Smith and Max Holmes are really nice against Essendon. Don't know how they're going to keep up with him. Saturday night, Tristan Cherry's always a great shout. Brayshaw. I think even guys like Sarong can do well. And maybe Caleb Daniels are designated.
I don't mind Tom DeConning against West Coast on Sunday as well.
I love that pick. Matt Flynn gives up huge points. So if you got Tom DeConing, he's a good. If you have Gawn and Tom DeConing like VCC, that's beautiful. And I think Connor Rozee could also do well this week. I think we'll wrap it up there, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for all the comments. Love everyone's work here. Thank you for the support, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. See ya.